Now, to create an iOS release, it has a little bit less steps, but it is also a little bit more expensive. So in order to release apps to the iOS store, you're going to need an Apple developer account, which costs $100 a year. But once you have that, the first step you need to do is you got to go to Certificates, Identifiers, and Profiles, and specifically the Identifiers part. And actually, before that, we have to do something else. If you can open up the folder for our project, which is MP25 Make It Pretty, and that's the same project, go to the iOS folder and then run runner.xc workspace. This will open up Xcode and it will look something like this. So remember, for Android, we updated the bundle identifier to something unique. We're going to do the same thing with iOS. So we'll do the same thing, call it Tatus, I don't remember what it was, Inc., and we'll say to do app. Doesn't necessarily have to be the same because it's going on completely different app stores. I want to make sure that's checked. And then since you have an Apple developer account, you can set up automatic signing, so we don't need to go through that whole process of getting our application signed. So now, once we have this name, make sure we copy it, and then go back to this identifiers. I want to add a specific identifier in here. And it's going to be an app identifier. It's going to be an app, not an app clip. Description, we're going to say ZTM to do. And the bundle ID is that one. Now here you want to go through all the capabilities that your app's going to have. For example, if you need Apple Pay within your application, go through and check all the things that your app's going to be using. But we don't need any of these. So we're just going to click continue and register that application. Now we can go back to the Apple developer account and go to our App Store Connect. And we can specifically go to the apps section. So this will show all the apps that we have under our account. As we have a completely new app, we want to click this plus and select new app. So it's going to be an iOS app. So it's going to be called ZTM to do. Primary language will be English, US. Bundle ID is the only one that's not taken. It's this one. And the SKU is just a unique ID that is internal that you need to put. And it can be anything. So I'm just going to do Inc. to app. Users will have full access. Okay, we create our application. So this doesn't actually bring any files into our App Store Connect or anything. This is just saying that we're going to have this application with this ID. So now to create the build, we're actually going to go back to the project. You want to make sure you go through all this information, make sure your minimum deployment is correct. You can give an app category. We'll say productivity again. You can give it a display name. We'll say ZTM to do. And the versions are handled automatically. So this looks all good to me. It gets saved. We can get back to the terminal that we have within our VS Code. So it's the same as a normal terminal, just looks a little bit prettier. And we could do Flutter build IPA. Remember, for the Android version, we did Flutter build app bundle. So this is the iOS equivalent. So then it gives us a couple options of how we could bring it into our App Store Connect. So first we get this app called Apple Transport for macOS. So this is the app. I'm going to need to install it because I don't have it. The reason I don't have it is because there's another way you could do it directly through Xcode, but it seems like this is the easier way, and why not make it easier for us? So this is what the application looks like. You need to log in and then go to the file that we got created here. It looks like it doesn't want to behave, but we'll go into it manually then. So we go to build, then iOS, IPA, and here's our mini project.ipa file. So this is what got created. When I open up the transporter application, we just simply drag it in here. ZTM to do, and we can deliver it. And this is uploading to the App Store Connect. Okay, so we had an issue when it came to releasing our application. It says the Apple Store icon that we created cannot be transparent. So we're going to need to fix that. Okay, let's just use this, for example, as our icon. And I'm going to change that name to Toast. So now we need to rerun the Flutter Launcher Icons script. That was Flutter pub run Flutter Launcher Icons, which is, if you remember, already defined within this PubSpec YAML. And it should be the configuration, yeah, toast.png. I guess we could have changed this to Steve Jobs, but whatever. Let's run it. And after we run this, we're going to have to recreate that Flutter IPA. So Flutter build IPA. Okay, so now we have our new build. iOS IPA, mini project IPA, just now. Now we should be able to drag this in, and hopefully this will be able to deliver properly to App Store Connect. We want to replace it, and then click Deliver. Awesome, so it was successfully delivered this time. The whole application is packaged up, delivered to the App Store Connect. The only thing left here is to fill out all the information. So we're going to go through, get screenshots of our application, add some promotional text like the best to-do app out there. Give it a little description. Let's say the same thing, description, keywords, to-do, version, support URL. You want to make sure you add all that. And now we're not seeing a build here yet. That's because it actually takes a little bit of time for the whole upload to get approved and everything. You'll see our app is here, but it's still processing. Everything should be fine, but we'll just go through the rest of the steps. So as you're going through all of this, they're going to tell you exactly what you need to do. Once you click Add for Review, if you don't have something added in, and it's going to show you some red errors. All right, let's try again. Promotional text. This is the best to-do app. Description. Keyword to-do. Save. There's no sign-in required. And it won't let us add it to review until we get the application to come through. We're pretty much done. The application's finished. It's waiting to be fully processed. They need to send it out for testing and all that other stuff. And you need to make sure all this stuff is filled out, and then it'll show you the details, what kind of things you need to do. If you haven't done that, make sure you fill it out. Click Add Review. It'll tell you what else needs to be done. The main thing here is we can't add a build here yet. We can't add a build because it's processing, but once it's done, it will be right here. You just select which one you want. For example, we're missing a support URL here. We'll just say my website.ispetra.com. Now we add for review, you'll see there's one less item here to do. There's app privacy. Make sure you go through all this, all the red parts. And then once everything's good, you'll finally be able to add it for review legitly. Then Apple will finally take a look at it. They'll check whether this app meets all the criteria to be on their App Store. If it does, then you're good to go. It's on the App Store. If it doesn't, you'll get rejected. You'll get an email as to why it got rejected. You're going to need to make sure you fix up the app, or maybe you need to fix up some description within here and then resubmit it and go through that process until you finally get your app out there. So that's how you release an app on the iOS store.